Hi, we'll now begin today's webinar. During today's webinar, we'll be going over all the different billing reports you can access from the billing portal. In the billing portal, there's two different locations to which you may access billing reports from. The first location is going to be on your left-hand side on your reporting section under your navigation pane. Below the reporting section, you'll have 5 different common reports that you may run reports on. The second section on which you may run billing reports on is on your billing toolbar under the multiple red windows icon. And if you click the drop-down, this will give you another set of reports that you may run within the billing portal. Starting with the reports on the navigation pane, the first report you'll have is your aging analysis. The aging analysis will allow you to see the practice aging, whether it's insurance or patient aging. Once you click on the aging analysis, you will be shown the report search options, which allows you to select the criteria for your report. The first criteria you have here is how you would like your report to be displayed. Would you like your report based on financial class, service location, user, payer, or provider? In this case, I'll be selecting payer. To the right of that, you have your include column. This allows you to select what you would like included on your agent report. Would you like to view refunds? Would you like to show blank columns even if there's nothing listed below it? And also if you would like to display unsubmitted claims, meaning using the aging days based on the date of service of the claim. To the right of that, you have your date option, which allows you to select whether you would like to run your aging report based on aging days, meaning from the submission date to today, or on service date, meaning on the date of service of the claim to today. Below that, you have your aging bucket criteria. The aging bucket criteria allows you to select which aging buckets you would like to view. If you would like to view all aging buckets, be sure to select all of them. If you would like to view only 31 to 120 or only 121 to 210, be sure to select those two. As you select the aging buckets, notice to the right of it, you will have the all option added. This means that everything from 31 to 120 is being selected. If you would like to narrow down your search, you could click on the 31 to 120 date, and this allows you to narrow down your search. You can now exclude the 31 to 60 if you like, so you can only view 61 to 90 and 91 to 120. And once you click close on that, this will let you know that 2 out of the 3 options under 31 to 120 is selected. To the right of that, you have your financial class criteria. The financial class allows you to specify a specific financial class that you would like to run agent for, or you can leave it blank and it will display all financial classes. To the right of that, you have your service location criteria, which allows you to select a specific service location to run agent on, or you can leave it blank and it will display you all locations for agent. To the right of that, you have your provider criteria. This allows you to specify a specific provider that you would like to run the agent report for, or you can leave it blank and it will show you everybody. To the right of that, you have your user criteria. Again, you can select a specific user or leave it blank, and this will show you everybody. And further to the right, you have your patient criteria, which allows you to specify a specific patient or a patient range using first name. Okay, or you can leave it blank and it will show you everybody. In this case, I will only be selecting my agent bucket criteria, not specifying any other data, and selecting it based on payer. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and click search, and this will show you your agent report. And again, since I did select it based on payer, it is now giving me a breakdown based on each payer. What part of it is insurance aging and what part of it is patient aging. And to the right, I have my agent bucket columns. Notice that some of the columns are hidden due to the fact that there is no actual data in there, and I did not select to display blank columns. Okay. You also have your totals all the way on the right-hand side, and at the bottom you have your insurance and patient totals. If you right-click on the insurance company, whether it be under insurance or patient, this will now allow you to view the claims under that aging bucket. And you can right-click on that, and it will give you a set of options. And you can select to view the payer detail, which is going to go ahead and give you every claim under this specific payer under the insurance portion, because it is the one I have highlighted. You can choose payer bucket detail, and this occurs if you right-click on a specific column. This will show you the payer bucket detail, meaning only the claims within that specific column. You also have an export to Microsoft Excel, which allows you to export this report to an Excel sheet. You could print this report using a PDF printer, or you can search, allowing you to search for any specific insurance or, again, provider, depending on how you run your agent report based on. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click Payer Detail because I do want to see all insurance aging for this insurance. And on here, it's going to go ahead and show me, again, based on that insurance and the claims that consist of that aging. I can also double-click on a claim if I wanted to work on that claim, and that's going to show me the claim aging record. The claim aging record is going to give you information based on that insurance, the provider, the patient, and claim information along with procedures, charges, payments, and any balance on there. On your claim aging record window, under each header that is underlined and in bold, you can actually click on those, and that will take you to the specific section within the system. So, for example, if I click on claim information, this will now open the claim, allowing me to work on it as needed. If I were to click on history, this will show me the transaction history for this specific claim. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that out. And again, any other header that you click on here will give you that specific window. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. And from the detailed report view of this insurance aging, I can export this if I wanted to, which will export it to an Excel sheet. I could print it if needed, or I could simply close out. The same options are true for patient balance as well. So any claims that you have in patient, you would use the same feature by right-clicking and clicking on the payer detail. In this case, I don't have any actual patient aging, and that's the reason it shows me something blank. But if I did, I can double-click on the claim, and then does show me the claim aging record for that specific claim. At the bottom of the screen, you also have two options to display report percentage. You could choose to display it based on report type, which would just add the percentages based on the full report. Or you can do it based on report total, which will also add the percentages of the overall report. If you leave none, then it's just not going to show you any percentages. The next report you have on your navigation pane is your charge analysis. The charge analysis will show you all charges for the specific date range of the search option you request. There's two date ranges up top. One is the service date and one is the service post. The service date will give you based on date of service of the claim, and the service post will give you based on the date the claim was posted into the system. You can now specify your date range in here, and in this case, I'm going to be running it for the month of January. And at the bottom, you have your other criteria, such as your financial class, service location, provider, and code class. Again, if you specify by any of these criteria, it will limit that information to only that criteria. If you leave it blank, it's going to show you everything. In this case, I am going to leave it blank, and I'm going to go ahead and click my search button, which will now give me my search results based on the charge analysis. You'll have the information displayed in a total of 6 different boxes. The first 5 boxes are totals, which include the financial class totals, the payer totals, service location totals, rendering provider totals, and code class totals. The 6th box you have on this report is your graph, and the graph will be displayed based on the box you have selected. So if I were to select my rendering provider totals, this now gives me a graph based on rendering providers. If I were to click on my financial class totals, this will now give me a graph based on financial class. Also, on the right upper corner of each total box, there's a Get Details option. And as you put your mouse over that box, you'll see that Get Details will now light up. So if I do it under my payer totals, notice my Get Details lights up. You could click on the Get Details to give you a further breakdown of the information that's being displayed. And this will go ahead and show you, in this case, based on payers, because that's the box I selected Get Details from. And it gives me a breakdown of all the procedures of unit total, procedure count, and charges. Okay, I can now print this if I needed to, or if this is more information than you would like to view, you could get just a summary of this payer totals by clicking on the detail underlined word up top on your detail report, and this will give you just a summary of it, hiding all the procedures. Same concept, you can print it if needed, or you can just close out. Moving on, the next report that we have is the payment analysis on your navigation pane. The payment analysis allows you to run a report based on all payments within the specific date range that you specify. Up top, you have 4 different date ranges. The first 2 is the service and service post. The service, again, is based on the claim date of service. The service post is based on the date the claim was posted into the system. Below that, you have your deposit date and your deposit post. The deposit date is based on the date you entered as the deposit date on your payment, and the deposit post is based on when you actually posted it in the system. You should only run this report with 1 date range at a time. However, if you would like more than 1 date range at a time, you are able to enter that in. In this case, I am going to be running my report based on deposit post date, so I'm going to be removing my service dates, and I'm going to be entering my deposit post date. Below it, you have your financial class criteria, your service location criteria, your provider criteria, and your code class criteria. Similar to the other reports, if you checked any of this, it would limit you to that information only. If you leave it blank, it will give you all information. In this case, I'm ready to run my report, so I'm going to go ahead and click Search now. And similar to the charge analysis, my information is broken down into a total of 6 boxes. The first 5 are totals, and my 6th box is the graph. Just like the charge analysis, by clicking on any box, it will give you the display of the graph at the bottom. Okay? But now note I have a charges column, a payment column, and an adjustment column. My charges are based on my payments. So since I did run it based on deposit post date, this is showing me all the payments that were posted in January. However, the charges may be for claims in January or for claims for prior months. Just like the charge analysis, you do have the Get Details option on each box, and you could click on that, and that will give you a further drill down to that information. Again, if you would like to remove the procedures and the extra information, click on the detail word up top, and this will go ahead and give you just a summary. You can also print this if needed. If not, go ahead and close out. The next report we have is the receipt analysis. The receipt analysis will show you all receipts that were collected within the specified date range. Notice on this report there is only 1 date range, which is the receipt date. And you can specify that date range that you want to view receipts for. So in this case, I am going to put for the first week of February. Below that, you have your applied amount option. It gives you an option to don't display, display, and unapplied only. The don't display will not show you on the report what has been applied so far. The display will show you the amount that has been applied so far out of those receipts. And the unapplied only will only show you receipts that have not been applied at this point. Below that, you have your service location criteria, your user criteria, and your payment method criteria. Again, if you specify by any of these, it will only show you that information. If you leave it blank, it will show you everything. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click search, and I'll get my information broken down into a total of 6 boxes. The first 4 boxes are totals. So you have your date totals, your service location totals, your user totals, and your payment method totals. The 5th box on here is a missing ticket totals, which allows you to track claims that were created based on appointment statuses. And the 6th box on here is a graph. And just like the other graphs on the other reports we just saw, if you click on any box, it will go ahead and give you a graph based on that information. Under each totals box on the right upper corner, you do have the Get Details option, which will give you a further drill down into those totals. So if I were to do it based on payment method totals, I can click my Get Details, and this will now show me based on payment method my receipts that were collected. If you needed to work on any of these receipts, you can simply double-click on that receipt, and that's going to open up the Quick Pay window for that receipt. So if you needed to do a reversal, you'll now be able to do so. And notice in this case, I already do have a reversal done for this receipt. I'm going to go ahead and close out of here. Another identifier to know if you have a reversal done for a receipt is the red asterisk on the left-hand side of the copay, general payment, or any payment type. This notifies you that a receipt has been done for this receipt. A reversal has been done for this receipt. Once again, you can print this if needed, or you can simply close out. The missing ticket totals, if you click the Get Details on the right upper corner, will now give you a breakdown of all the claims that are all the appointments that are missing claims. Okay, so it'll be broken down with the resource, the time of the appointment, the status of that appointment, the chart number for that patient, the actual patient's name, the date of birth, and the comment whether it's actually missing a claim, or in some cases it has an invalid date or missing a diagnosis, or in this case an insurance. You can also print this if you wanted to for your records, or you can simply close out of here. Moving on, the next report you have is the practice summary. The practice summary is a combination of the charge analysis and the payment analysis. What that means is depending on the date range that you specify on this report is the data that you're going to see. So if you use the service date or the service post, the first row of this date report, you will see true charges and payments based on those charges. If you use the deposit date or the deposit post, you'll see true payments and charges based on those payments. So in this case, if I wanted to run the deposit post date for the month of January, I can specify that date range. And again, I'm going to see true payments and charges based on those payments. At the bottom, you have your criteria, which is your financial class criteria, your service location criteria, your provider criteria, your code class criteria, your user criteria, your payment method criteria, and your payment type criteria. Once again, if you specify by any of this, it will limit you to that information. If you leave it blank, it will show you everything. In this case, I am ready to run my report, so I'm going to go ahead and click Search now. And this will give me the information broken down into a total of 8 boxes. The first 6 boxes are totals. Your financial class totals, payer totals, service location totals, rendering provider totals, user totals, and code class totals. The last 2 boxes you have is your graph and your productivity reports. The graph allows you, again, to click on any box and view a graph based on that information. And the productivity reports are additional reports that you could run within the practice summary report. So under each total box, again, you have the Get Details on the right upper corner, which you can click on and get a further breakdown of that information. Notice that on this one, it does not give you a breakdown based on procedure, but just a summary of everything. I'm going to go ahead and close out of there. And moving on to my productivity reports now. Again, I have 4 different additional reports within my practice summary report. The first report is the claim productivity report by user. This will show me how many claims each user has created for a specific date range. You can select your date range up top. You can also specify the user that you're looking for or leave it blank to see all users. Once you click search, that's going to go ahead and display, based on each user, how many claims were created. And all the way to the right, you'll have your total per user. You can export this to an Excel if you wanted to, so you may print it. The next report under your productivity reports is your claim productivity report by date. This will show you per date how many claims were created. Once again, on top, you can specify the date range. And at the bottom, you can specify a user if needed, or you can just click search to view all users. So now it gives me a breakdown based on dates. And then all the way to the right, I have my totals. You can also export this or close this out. My next report I have under my productivity reports is my payment listing by source and date. This does require Excel in your PC for you to run this report, and it will show you based on who made the payment, a report broken down into each column. So you can specify your date range, and let's say in this case I want to review it for January. Now click search, and this will go ahead and open an Excel sheet for you showing you these results. At the bottom of your Excel sheet on your tabs, you'll have a tab for each payment method. The first tab I have here in this case is payer, meaning if the insurance was the one that made the payment. Now this payer reflects to manual entry of a deposit. So if you received an EOB, not an ERA. If you had an ERA payment, then you would have a separate tab for ERA. You can now view all the payments that were made, the post date, the deposit ID, and the payment amount for each deposit. The next tab I have here is a statement, and this is if you had made any deposits based on statements. This will now show you that patient's information, the post date, the deposit ID, and the payment amount. The next tab I have is the guarantor, and this is if you had made any payments utilizing the quick pay window or the claim payment window, and it was a patient payment. This will now show you the patient's card number, the payer the patient has, the patient's name, the type of payment it was, whether it was from the payment window or the receipt, meaning quick pay, the post date, the deposit ID, the receipt ID, and the payment amount. If you wanted to print this, again, you still have the full Excel features that you can use on this report if needed. If not, simply close out. The next report you have under the productivity reports is the payment listing by poster and date. This also utilizes Excel sheets, and you can specify the date range that you want it for and the user you want it for. So if you wanted to specify a specific user, you can select that as well. And you can click search, and this will show you who posted what amount on what dates. Okay, so it shows you everybody that has posted a payment. Same concept. You can print this if you want. You still have the full Excel feature. If you wish to do nothing else with it, go ahead and just close out of it. This concludes the reports within your navigation pane under the reporting section. We'll now be moving on to the reports on your billing toolbar under the multiple red windows icon. once you click on this drop-down, the first option you have is the account query. The account query is the previous version of your billing query. It does the same features, allows you to work on claims, prepare batches, and modify anything that needs to be modified on a claim. But it just has a different look to it. And I'll show you what that looks like. So again, same features, different look versus having the two separate columns. It's now up top, and the results will be displayed at the bottom. By clicking the drop-down again, the next option you have is your Practice Aging Report. Practice Aging Report allows you to do a report based on month. So on here, you can specify if you want to run it based on service dates or post dates. You can specify the month you would like to start that report on. You can specify the year you would like to start the report for, and the number of months ahead that report should run for. You can also specify a provider if needed, a location if needed, and again, if you leave both fields empty, it's just going to show you everything. On the right-hand side, under your display, you're going to select what you would like to include on this report. So you can select to display total charges, which automatically includes the second and third column. You can select to display deposits and adjustments, your collection rate, your collection history. And on the fourth column here, you can specify a financial class to be displayed and always expand the results for the financial classes. In this case, I will not be selecting financial classes. And I'm going to go ahead and click Search. Now, this will show me a report based on each month, starting on the month that I specified and the number of months ahead. And under each month, it will show me the total charges, the total number of claims that were created, the total that were completed, the credited, and the outstanding, total encounters, completed, credited, and outstanding, total procedures, completed, credited, and outstanding, my total payments, what part of it was insurance, patient, total adjustments, what part of it was insurance, patient, my total remaining balance, what part of it was unsubmitted, insurance, and patient. And on this top section here, from total payments and total all the way to total remaining balance, this reflects on my total charges. So these are total payments and adjustments I have received based on the charges I billed out for December. If I look at January, these are total payments and adjustments I have received based on the charges billed out in January. Then below that, you have your deposits and adjustments section. This will show you deposits, what part of it was insurance and patient. Adjustments, what part of it was contract or any other adjustment. Now the deposit section refers to the deposits that were made within this month. So notice my deposits for January is a lot higher than my total payments. And the reason being is most of these deposits were most likely done for previous months. And below that, you have your collection rates, which shows you the percentage of collections based on the charges and payments, and collection history within the bucket range that I have been collecting these payments. This is also an active report. So if you choose to view the information under your unsubmitted claims for January, for example, you can double-click on that, and that will show you all the claims that consist of that unsubmitted. The same is true for December. Under the insurance section, patient, under the total payments, it will show you all the payments that were made for which claims, and etc. Moving on, the next report on my multiple red windows drop-down is my reconciliation report. The reconciliation report is used to reconcile claims for you. So if you wanted to verify amounts and payments that were made against claims and charges, this is the report that you will want to run. Now, in this report, you have several criteria. Up top, you have your group by, which allows you to group based on claim owner or referring provider, if you needed to. Then you have your charges checkbox, your payments / adjustments checkbox, and your display zero balance checkbox. And this is what will be displayed on this report. Below that, you have your dates, which has your service date, your post date, your deposit date, and your deposit post date. And again, you can enter more than one date range if necessary by using the AND feature, or you can use the OR feature to select one or the other. Okay? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use my post date because I'm interested in seeing payments for the month of January. And then below that, you have your patient section, which allows you to specify a specific patient. If you're trying to reconcile on a specific patient, you can specify chart number range, first name or last name of that patient. And below that, you have your claimant / payment section. And this allows you to specify a code range, a location, a provider, a created by, a payment method, or a payment type if necessary. And below that, you have your payer section, which allows you to select a specific financial class or a payer, whether it be the primary, secondary, or tertiary. Once you enter in your criteria, go ahead and click search. And this is now going to give you a breakdown of all the claims in this case that had payments posted in January. So it is broken down based on patient. And to the left-hand side of the chart number on the green plus sign, you can double-click on it to view further details on the claims. So on here, it's going to go ahead and show you per claim using the claim number, date of service, status of the claim. Then it's going to go ahead and show you the procedures on that claim, diagnosis, and if there's any payments on the claim, it's going to go ahead and show you a breakdown of those payments as well, and adjustments as well. So in this case, this patient has 1 date of service, 2 date of service, 3 date of service, 4, 5, 6, 7 date of service that had payments posted in January. Okay. If needed to, you can work directly from this report. It is an active report, so if you double-click on the claim number, that's going to actually open up the claim for you. And if you double-click on the patient's name, that's going to go ahead and open up that patient's setup for you. So again, you can work directly from this report to make any corrections or changes as needed. Moving on, the next report we have on the multiple red windows dropdown is your daily receipt. The daily receipt is the previous version of your receipt analysis. It will give you the same information, just different look to it. So on here, you would want to specify your date range that you would like to view receipts for. Okay? And then you can specify any other criteria, such as the appointment date range that you want to see receipts for, a patient if you wanted. Go ahead. Once the report comes up, it's going to give you a breakdown based on date and the payment type, and then show you all the receipts that were collected within that date range. And at the bottom, you have your grand total based on days and your report total. The next report you have on the multiple red window dropdown is your practice analysis report. The practice analysis report allows you to run a report to see what procedures were billed out within the specified date range or what procedures have payments received within the specified date range. So once again, you have your date of service, your service post date, your deposit date, and your deposit post date. And depending on the date range that you utilize, that's the information you're going to receive back. So if you use your deposit and deposit post, you're going to get true payments and charges based on those payments. If you use your service date, you're going to get true charges and payments based on those charges. In this case, I'm more interested in my charges, so I am going to be running this report for January dates of service. You can specify a code range if you wanted to, or leave it blank, a payer, okay, or a provider if needed. Once you're ready, go ahead and launch the report. And this is going to give you a report showing you all the procedures that had charges for the month of January, because I did run it based on data service for January. Okay, so it's going to give me all the procedures, their unit count, the average charge, the pay count, the average payment, the payment, the adjustment count, the average adjustment, and the actual adjustment. Keep in mind my payments and my adjustments are based on my charges. So it's only showing me payments and adjustments for claims of data service of January, not necessarily payments that were received in January. And if you scroll down on this report, you have a payment section, which now shows you all the payments, whether it was a copay, insurance check, or any other type of payment, the payment count, the average payment, and the payment. Keep in mind this payment is, again, based on charges for January. And below that you have your adjustments, and below that you have your provider totals. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one. The next report we have on the multiple red windows drop-down is your insurance aging. The insurance aging is the previous version of the aging analysis report. This is the insurance part of that aging analysis. Okay? And on this report, you can specify a patient if you wanted to, using either first, last name, chart number, or a chart range. A provider if you wanted to, financial class, location, payer, or claim owner. If you don't want to specify anything and you want to view all your insurance aging. Now this is going to be broken down into financial classes. So notice Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And under each financial class, you're going to have your payer. And under each payer, you're going to have your providers. And if you expand the provider by double-clicking on the green plus sign, this will now show you all the claims. This is also an active report. So if you were to double-click on the claim number, this opens up your claim. If you were to double-click on the patient's chart number, that opens up the patient. And if you were to double-click on the payer, that's going to open up the payer. The next report we have on the multiple red windows dropdown is your patient aging. This is the patient portion of your aging analysis, again, the previous version to it. Up top, you can specify any of the criteria, such as first name, last name, chart number or chart range, provider, location, claim owner, or payer. If you don't want to specify anything, go ahead and just click search. And this is going to go ahead and show you all your patient aging. Now, they're going to be broken down based on provider. And under each provider, it's going to have the patients. And you can expand the patient by double-clicking the green plus sign, which will then show you all the claims that that patient has in aging. It is also an active report, so if you were to double-click on the patient, it's going to open up your patient setup. If you double-click on the claim number, it's going to go ahead and open up your claim for you. The next report you have on the multiple red windows dropdown is your refunds report. The refunds report will show you all refunds that are due within your database. Or you can specify a date range and only view refunds for that specific date range, that specific patient. In this case, I am not going to specify a date range, and I'm just going to go ahead and launch my report. And this is going to go ahead and show me all refunds that I have within my database. Now, there are 4 different types of refunds. The first refund type is the patient's responsible party refund, meaning the refund is due to the patient. The second type of refund is your payer refund, meaning the refund is due to the insurance company. The third type of refund is your missing refund, which means that the system does not know who that refund is due to at this point. And the fourth type of refund you'll see is the error refund, which means that at one point the claim did have a refund. It has ever since been moved, and it was not properly adjusted. Again, this is also an active report, so by double-clicking on the actual patient, this is going to go ahead and give you that patient's transaction history, allowing you to work on that refund. So if you needed to move the refund to a different date of service on that claim, you can now do an adjustment for it. And to do an adjustment, you are able to do it directly from the patient transaction history by clicking on the claim that has the credit first, right-click on the claim number up top on the right-hand side, click Add Payment. This will open your payment window, allowing you to document that adjustment that you're needing to do. Once you've done the adjustment for how much you're moving, you'll now want to go to the claim that has the balance and repeat the same step of doing an adjustment by right-clicking on the claim number on the right-hand side, selecting Add Payment, and you can now do an adjustment for that amount that you're moving over. Keep in mind that when you do the adjustment on the claim that has a credit, that's going to be a positive adjustment. And when you're doing an adjustment on the claim that has a balance, that's going to be a negative adjustment. Go ahead and close out of there. Okay, and if you're needing to assign a refund or who that refund needs to be applied to, you can double-click on it and open up the patient transaction history again. And you can now right-click on the claim number on the right-hand side. And you can go to Credit and designate who that credit is due to. So you'll be prompted that if you wish to create a credit, if you select yes, it'll create a credit even if you close out of the window. If you select no, it will not create the credit. If I were to hit yes on here, I can now specify whether that refund is either due to the insurance company or to the patient. This will not complete a refund for you, nor will it take out the money. It will just assign who that refund is due to. If you are doing an actual check to the patient or a check to the insurance company, you'll need to do an adjustment stating that. In this case, let me go ahead and close out of here. That concludes the refund report. Let's go ahead and move on to the next report on your drop-down. So the next report we have is the patient collections report. The patient collections and the following report after that, which is the pending collections, are a set of reports that are created based on your company settings. So the patient collection, what it states is, if you put in a criteria on your company settings that states that any patient that has a claim that the balance is due to the patient that's over 90 days, for example, would fall into your patient collections report. Okay? Or any claim that has a balance of greater than $10 for 90 days will fall into your patient collections report. Now, these are settings that must be set up under your company settings within your setup portal. Okay? Once these settings are set up, you can now come to this report. You could run it based on a specific patient, or you could just hit Launch Report, and that will show you all patients that consist of that patient collection, meaning they fall into that criteria. Okay? You can now print this and provide this to your collection company. All right? So I'm going to click the drop-down again on my multiple red windows icon, And I'm going to skip the pending collection because it is the same concept as the patient collections. Again, these are settings that need to be set up on your company setting under the setup portal. And the next option I have here is the other reports. The other reports refers to some of the reports that we already saw within that drop-down, the multiple red windows drop-down, along with some additional reports. So for example, if I were to click my category drop-down here, and I went to BillingMD Practice, and I now click my report drop-down, I now have two options for reports. The first one is the fee schedule, and the second one is the practice analysis. Again, the practice analysis, we did see that already on the drop-down for your multiple red windows on your toolbar. Now, the fee schedule is an additional report which we have not seen. So you could click on that, and this allows you to run a report for your fee schedule in your database. You can specify a code range if you want to. Otherwise, leave it blank and launch the report, and this will give you your full fee schedule. Okay, this is a neat tool to find out what you're actually billing out for certain procedures, and if you need to actually update your fee schedule, you can come in here and see what's being billed out and designate whether that needs to be updated or not. So this is going to go out and pick up every single procedure you have on your database that has a fee associated with it. If there is no fee associated with it, it will not be included in this report. Okay? And if there's any special criteria, meaning that a specific procedure has more than one type of fee that would be applied to it, depending on the payer, financial class, and etc., then it will be broken down within that procedure, such as this one, where my regular fee is $90. However, if the payer is Anthem and the provider is Jones, the fee is actually $85. If the payer, if the financial class is Blue Cross Blue Shield, the fee is $75. Or if the financial class is a self-pay, the fee should be $55. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and close out of this report. And again, based on the category you select, you're going to see different options. So if I select BillingMD Collections, this will give me that patient collections and pending collection report that we saw on the multiple red windows dropdown. If I click on BillingMD Claim, this will give me claim errors, a claim status and comments, the daily receipts we already saw, the patient transaction history, and the refund that we just saw. Okay, if I were to click on patient transaction history, I can now run a transaction history for a specific patient, specifying either a date range, if I needed to, or for that full patient's transaction history with the practice. Okay, you would put in the chart number of that patient, and if you don't know it, you could click on the square with the three dots and search for that patient, which will allow you to go ahead and get the chart number based on that. I can now double click on my patient and notice it puts in my chart number for me. And if I wanted to specify only claims with dates of service of this year, I can. Otherwise, leave it blank and it's going to give you the full transaction history for this patient. Okay. Now this can be done from this report, or it can be done directly from the transaction history if you would like. Right? So that's what the other reports allows you to do. Again, just gives you some additional reports that you could run within the system. The next report is the payer mix. The payer mix is utilized to see what part of your practice does an actual payer consist of. Okay? So you can specify based on financial class, based on provider, or location if you wanted to. You can put in the date, whether it be service date, whether it be service post, deposit date, or deposit post. Keeping in mind any other service would mean true charges. Any other deposits will mean true payments. Okay? So if I'm interested in what part of my practice and payments does a specific payer make, I'm going to select my deposit post date. Then I could put in my date range. Okay. If you want it based on primary insurance, you can specify that. If you want a specific code range, you can also specify that. And you can also specify how you like that report grouped by, whether it be financial class, provider, service location, or all of them. In this case, I'm going to do it based on provider. and I'm going to go ahead and click Search on my left lower corner. Now this will show me a report, again, based on provider, because that's what I grouped it by. And if I expand the provider, it's going to go ahead and show me the payers under that provider. Okay, so it shows me a claim count, percentage of claims that makes up my practice, the average charge, the total charge is the percentage of total charges that makes up my practice, the average payment, total payments, and the percentage of payments that makes up my practice. Now again, since I did run it based on deposit date, my payments are true payments from January 1st to today. However, my charges are not true charges for January 1st to today. These are charges based on these payments. Right? The next report you have is your provider counts. Provider counts allows you to see the MyTask count for your practice. Okay? And you could view it for orders, super bills, soap notes, or e-documents. In most cases, the most pertinent part to the billing is the super bill. So by clicking on super bill, you can now view the MyTask counts for each user within your practice. Okay? And on here it shows you, again, the red would be missing super bills, and the blue would be open super bills. Missing super bills meaning the patient has been checked in, checked out, and no super bill was created. And open super bills meaning a super bill has been created, but it has not been released for charges for the biller to go ahead and process that claim. By double-clicking on either of the bars, you can view the claims for that specific user. So for example, for Christopher Martin, if I double-click on his open claims, this is going to go ahead and show me the patients along with the date of service that he has open claims for. If you needed to, you can print this to provide to that provider, or you can simply close out. The same is true for missing claims. So if you're missing super bills, so if you double click on that red bar, it's going to go ahead and show you patient's name, date of service. Right? You can also do this for their orders, for their soap notes, and the documents if necessary. The next report we have on the multiple red windows dropdown is the EDI extract. The EDI extract is a tool that is utilized if you're not using Capario as the clearinghouse and you have a separate clearinghouse. That's the tool you would use to extract that EDI file so you can import into your clearinghouse and bill out those claims. That concludes all the reports within the multiple red windows dropdown, also concluding our reporting training.